Hello, I'm Margie Roy from 3dcuts.com, and today I'm doing the tutorial for my Heart in a Tree shadow box in the square format. It is designed to go into an Amazon 11 by 11 shadow box. Let's get started. Cut all of the parts on your cutting machine. You should go to my website at 3dcuts.com to the tutorial at the address noted on the screen. At that tutorial online, I put important information on the papers I've used, the sizes of the pieces, and hints on how to cut these out. These are delicate cuts, and they do take a little bit of practice to be able to cut well. I have used a 65-pound paper, 12 by 12 cardstock from Michael's Recollections collection. I like that paper. It cuts well on my silhouette. I would not use an 80-pound cardstock in this particular project because you need the light to be able to shine through in order to see the layers. So stick to a 65-pound test. Let's get started on the assembly. There are 4 main layers to this project. We'll call them layers 1, 2, 3, and 4, with 1 being the one closest to the glass in the shadow box. It has the 2 pine trees and the grass. We're going to do the flat work that needs to be done on each of the layers first. On layer 1, there are 2 pieces of grass that get added. The longer one gets put to the left, lines up with the bottom, and the shorter one gets put to the right, giving the illusion of the path going back through here. I will use art glitter glue in order to glue these down. And it's pretty straightforward. You do not need to glue the little grass pieces down because it's nice to let them have a little dimension. This will all be held flat against the glass of the shadow box. There we go, they line up with the corners. And that is layer 1. Now we will work on layer 2. Layer 2 is made up of multiple pieces. There is the frame with the tree, the frame with the hill, the 2 people, and 3 grasses. These get combined together to make layer 2 of the shadow box. Start with your figures. In the download, there are 3 sets of figures. You choose the pair that best represents the couple that you would like to make the shadow box for. One of them is slightly tinier than the other, and that will get glued onto the back side. This is to give added strength to these legs. The 65-pound cardstock gets floppy over time, and I want this to be good and secure. So on the smaller piece, I am going to put art glitter glue, and then I will glue it to the back side of the larger piece. This is scrap here. I can use the big bottle for the big area. This is art glitter glue that I've moved to a container with a very tiny nozzle. There we go. Now this piece is going to be glued onto the back side of the landscape piece. On the landscape piece, you will notice there are 2 tiny slits on the bottom edge. Those 2 go to the left side. This is the mountain. The lower side is on the right. This is going to get glued to the back side right between those two slits. The shadow of this path shines through, or shows through the front piece, and it adds to the dimension without adding a layer. So I will take this and add the art glitter glue just to the bottom portion here. This time it does not go onto the figures. Line it up with that slit, line it up with the base, press it into place, and I see that the hill lines up just perfectly there. Okay, now the tree is going to get adhered to the front of this piece, like so. I'm going to apply the art glitter glue to just a little bit of the top, get it positioned, then work it down the frame. The glue dries quickly, so I need to move quickly as well. There we go. Oh, I can see a couple of pieces that didn't come out. I need to get those out. I will continue coming down my edge here. Same on this edge. Across the bottom. Now, the roots of the tree need to be glued to this background as well. There are 3 tufts of grass that are going to be added here. This one has a curve which matches that root over there. This one gets positioned in next to this root, and the third one gets put right in front. On these, you only need to apply a little bit of glue to the large area in the base, because again, you can let the grasses float in the breeze. Okay, side number 2 is now complete. We'll put that aside. There is nothing at this point to do with layer number 3. Layer 4 will be glued to a 10.5 by 10.5 inch piece of heavy mat board. This is scrap mat board that I had from another framing project, and I have taken this and marked this notch out of it. This notch is where the battery pack is going to go on the back of this project, and we need to cut it out so that we can access the battery pack. This I did not cut on my Silhouette cutting machine. I used my paper cutter to cut the square, and I am going to use a good old-fashioned razor blade to cut out this notch. I took a cut piece of cardstock and a pencil, and I traced the edges of this rectangle here. I'll then take a metal-edged ruler and a razor blade, and I will cut out this rectangle. This piece is going to have spray glue applied to the back side, and it's going to be glued in place right there. I will do that outside where I have better ventilation. Okay, the layers are now ready, so it's time to pay attention to the side brackets. There are 4 side brackets. The one with the notch out of it will go onto the bottom. Position it so that this tab is on the left, the notch is facing up, and your front is up. One of the side pieces goes here. You will notice the notch, the tab is now facing up. The 3 little notches are down, and it is face side up. I'm going to position the next piece across the top and the last piece going down my right side, what's on my right side. This is the position. These outside pieces are the front, and we're now going to fold them and make the side brackets to hold the shadow box layers in place. Here is a sample of what we're going to be making. The side brackets go on to hold these layers separate so that we get some nice shadow effects. We're going to be building that right now. There is no doubt about it that the most confusing part of this project is how to fold the side parts. I have taken an extra one here. I have written on it front and back, and I have numbered it 1 through 14 down the side. I'm going to talk you through this. You do not need to label yours this way. This is just to help you get yours right. So put the front side down and start at the bottom. Notice the tab is off to my left here, and I am going to fold these toward the back. I am going to fold the first 5 on the side closest to the tab toward the back. There, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 folds. I'm going to turn it around, and from the other side, I'm going to fold the first 4 toward the back. Locate the one with the tab. The one after it goes to the back, but the next one goes to the front. Okay, so we have 5 to the back and 1 to the front. The next one goes to the back again. So 5 to the back, 1 to the front, 1 to the back. The next one goes toward the back again. Okay, I'm getting a little V here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 folds to the back, 1 to the front, 2 to the back, and the last one goes to the front. So now, if I carefully arrange these, I will see the 3 with the notches will all be on a plane here together. If I turn it over, in between those 2 are these 2 slits. These will form V's that the different layers will go into. Again, between layers 5 and 6 make a V, and layers 8 and 9 make a V, and that is how you'll know that you have your side pieces properly folded. This end will make a rectangular prism that gets folded back behind the wide one. And this end will make a rectangular prism which gets folded back at that side. I hope this section helped you understand the complexity of these folds so that you can make yours without any problems. Repeat this folding technique on all 4 sides for the insert of the shadow box. The next step is to put score tape onto this piece. I'm going to be using 1/4" score tape. I like using score tape because it keeps my fingers clean. I have a terrible time with liquid glues. Liquid glue, fast drying, could be used on this project, but it would be messy. In the next step, you will apply score tape to all 4 side brackets. Here is a finished photo of my sample side bracket with the score tape applied. The following video will walk you through the steps, but when complete, you will have score tape on the front of rows 1, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 14. Okay, the bottom row, 14, gets score tape. I like using score tape because I can get it all on ahead of time and then just peel it, and it makes assembly very fast. So review the two outside edges and both sides of the two valleys that we've created in this folded side bracket. Get the score tape applied to it. I am now going to repeat this on each of the other sides. Okay, folks, in the positioning of these, the only one that is critical is this one on the bottom. The rest, you need a tab to go to a non-tabbed area, a tab, non-tabbed area, tab, non-tabbed, tab, non-tabbed. So they go around in the circle like this. There is one more piece of score tape that needs to be added to all of these, and that is to the tab. You need to turn these over and put score tape on the back side of that tab. I'm using 1/2 inch, but certainly 2 pieces of 1/4 inch would be fine if that's all that you have. Okay, I think we're ready to start building the inside core. I will start with the top piece, and I will start with layer 2. Layer 1 is not attached to the inside core. I am going to take this and I am going to first make the 2 rectangular spacing prisms at either end of this. Peel off the edge, fold it around. Let me complete this step first. Make a little rectangular square with it and then fold it up on the next piece. All the way down. So you make that long rectangular prism and then you fold it over to hold in place. I have a letter opener that I use for getting inside these kinds of locations and pressing the score tape. Okay, this is the wide strip. I worked with 14, 13, and 12 edges, and I rolled them around and under and glued them to the back side of this wide strip, making a supporting rectangular prism. Another one will be done along this side here as well. Peel the score tape. Roll this one back onto itself until you make the little square and then stick it to the next section of the sidewall. You want to line it up to that fold and stick it in place. Again, take the letter opener and seal it. Okay, we now have one side with 2 little rectangular prisms for support and 2 V areas in the middle. This gets repeated with all 4 sides. That was the top one. I'm going to do it with the 2 sides as well. Both short ends of the side with the notch get done. All 4 of the brackets now have their score tape on them, and we are going to start attaching them to the layers. You start with layer 2. We're going to start with the top one. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to peel the first side here. And I am going to adhere this to this edge, the top edge. The side bracket is a little bit shorter by about 1/2 inch than the layer. I'm going to place this in here so that it is centered, and this is going to this is going to fold over and squeeze that right in there. When it's in place, I check to make sure I've got it correct. I'm nicely centered. The wide strip is to the back. So now I will peel the second side here and adhere it to the back side. Like so. Layer 2 is now in the first V slot of that side. I will repeat this with the two side ones. Let's see, this one will go on this side, like so. So I'm going to peel the first edge. I'm going to line it up here. Center it. Not quite tight into the corner. It's a little tight there, so I'm going to slide it out a little bit, like so. Just a tap. Turn it over. These meet. Yup, nice placement. That looks good. Press in place. Peel the other half here. And fold it over and press in place. The far side. Again, the clue is always that this wider edge goes toward the back, and I'm working on the opposite side from that. So this one will have to go here. And again, center it, be in from the edge about 1/16 of an inch. Excuse me, in from the fold about 1/16 of an inch. Yep, it all looks good, so I'll press that down. Peel the next piece, fold this one over. Great. And now the bottom. This will be the solid seam that we do. Okay, and here are 2 tabs that you have to do. Okay, layer 2 is now adhered to the side brackets. Layer 3 will go in next, but before layer 3 goes in, we are going to apply some of the lights to the front of it. In adding the lights to the shadow box, you need to be really careful that they do not touch this front layer. Those will show as hot spots when you look at it, and it's unsightly. So I will attach them to the next layer back, which will hold them back, but in positioning them, you need to be sure that they do not come up above here. So it might be helpful for you to position this, lining up the bottom corners. Yep, I can see those corners, and I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to ever so lightly put a little mark there, and a little mark there, and a little mark here, and a little mark here. Move my head. And that'll help guide me as to where the lights cannot go above. I have some very light marks there. Now, for lights, at my website, there is a link for getting these 50 light LED lights. These particular lights work with a remote control, and they have a dimmer and 8 different functions. I really like these lights for the shadow boxes because they have 3 batteries, which lasts for a long time. You don't have to change the batteries frequently, and they are affordable. Unwrap the lights. Find the end of the string of lights that is away from the battery pack. I'm going to leave the lights on here because I think you'll be able to see what I'm doing better if they're shining. You are going to use the first 11 of these lights on this layer. The rest, 39, will be on the back layer. They are going to be positioned on the front of this below these little marks. I am going to use regular Scotch tape to hold them in place, and I'm going to want them to be spread out so that there's a nice glow going up. But right here are the 2 people, and right here is the heart. Those are special areas where I want to be sure to have a light right below them. But I'll start over here on the left-hand side. I'm going to start a good ½ inch below that little mark there with that first light, and I'm going to tape it in place. Keep the tape below those marks. I'm going to tape all of these lights right to the front of this back piece. I know it's the front because the tallest tree is on the right side. Now, I'm going to need 11 lights, so 3 can go here. I fold it back on itself. Making sure that the wires stay down low and my tape stays down low. And I tape these lights right in place, tight up against the paper. I want to be sure that this light, next light, ends up right below where the 2 walkers are going to be. So I have positioned my wire to make that happen. Right there. These wires have a mind of their own, which is why I tape them in place. Everything becomes much easier once they are taped in place. The next light I want to be sure is right by this tree, down fairly low, so it doesn't shine through the heart, but is below it. I think I need to make the wiggle over there and put it that way, like so. Here are my tiny markers. Tape that in place. Now I'm going to come down on this side over here and get some more lights. Let's see, I think I'm going to put another one up here. Like I said, I'm working for 11 on this layer. I'm making sure my tape stays below those little markers. I'm going to take this and put in front of it and look to see if I see any of the lights. I can see my corners here to line up. And no lights and no wires are showing, so that's good to go. Before I attach that in here, I would like to put a spacer right here. This tends to get pushed back, and I've learned that it helps to have a spacer. If I do this before I put it together, I can see where that spacer is going to go, and it should go on this road so it's not visible from the front. For the spacer, I'm using weather stripping. It's a foam with adhesive on it. I'm going to put it 2 layers thick. You can use that, or you can use a bigger stack of pop dots. But the important thing is that it be on this road so that its shadow does not show through the front layer. I have found 2 layers is a good amount there, and I'm going to squeeze those in place. And I'm just doing this now. I could do it later, but it's harder to access later. Okay, layer 2, layer 3 with the lights. Layer 3 with the lights is getting put into place. This gets put in the same way as layer 2. I'm going to start at the top. It's easier now because they are held in position by the previous layer. I peel the layer, I bring up my top edge, I position it so that it is centered on the edge. And be careful because each layer is slightly smaller than the previous layer, so the degree of indent on each end here is going to be less to get it centered. And we can peel the next layer, squeeze it in and pinch it in place, and then fold it back. Great. We will move to this side here. Okay, I can see obviously that these are much too big and they're going to interfere with the battery pack, so I am going to cut those down. Bingo. Quick and easy. Okay, and let's move to the bottom one here. Okay, let's take the second side of each of these down. In each of the corners, there is the tab, and the tab is to go to the inside and be used to add strength to the corner. So I'll start in one corner, I will peel the score tape, and I will position it there. There, those just add a little rigidity to this core piece that will go inside the shadow box. Now is a good time to test it. I have opened up the frame. When it comes, the glass is packed on the back side. You take it out, you clean the glass, and you put it in first. After the glass goes in layer 1. Make sure that the hook is at the top. Layer 1 should lay flat in there. Then the rim that goes inside gets placed next. The inner core will go next. And I'm just putting that in right now to make sure it fits. There should be plenty of space around it. And I'm going to take a look at it from the front. It's looking fine. One of the things I'm looking for is hot spots where the lights may be too close to the front. I'm not seeing any, so that's good. Okay, that was just a test. This can come out now, and that can be put to the side. It's now time to start working on the lighting between the back layers. They will be applied to the front of the back. This will go here, and the lights will be taped onto the other side of this, similarly to how we did the previous layer. I'm going to, again, line these up and get an idea as to where the lights must be below in order to not be visible. So there and there. So they need to be in this portion down here. The wire will come through the slit and come out on here. You want to first get a little bit of light into each corner here. I am going to take these lights and I'm going to bring them up behind the tree line here on what is my left side. And I'm going to bring that up there and fold it back down. And I want to get about 3 lights nested up into that side behind the tree. So there, I've got 3 lights. I'm going to twist the wires together, not too tightly to break the wire, but tightly enough to hold them. And then I'm going to take a piece of tape and I'm going to tape this right to the side wall. I do not want to tape it up against this surface. They will show. I'm afraid that this copper wire standing up will show as well. So I'm going to fold that down. These are going to get taped right here to the sidewall. And this is to provide some side glow. Make sure it's good and secure. I'm going to also tape this one here so it doesn't slide forward. Now, the wire is going to come in here and we will start across this side, staying well below my little mark here. And I'm going to start taping these in place, paying attention to the location of the lights so that they are providing an upward glow all across this back edge. I have found that the lights get much easier to manage once they're taped in place, so I am not stingy with the tape at all. Test time. That'll go there. I can see a little bit of copper up in there, so I'm going to make sure that I readjust that. Oh darn, I just untaped it all, so it's going to get readjusted anyhow. That needs to fold down. The placement of these lights is relatively important to the overall effect. I periodically take this into my dark bathroom and look at it to see how I am doing. I think my lights are a little bit too low on this side, so I'm going to put a few more a little higher up. I am also going to want a string of lights that go up inside this pine tree here. Tape them together to hold them for me. Try them right there. And test it again. Okay. Okay, I expect those are going to show. I need to drop them down. I want to end the strand so that it comes out right at the corner here. So let's get these last few lights taped to the backboard. Now it's time to make the battery compartment, which is going to hold this part of the light. There's this last piece. It is a box. Simply fold all of the sides in, all of the tabs in, and the last outside tabs on each side out. On the outside, take score tape and put score tape on each of these large tabs. And put 1/4 inch score tape on the long tabs on each side. Peel the corners and fold up and in place, making a box. Like so. Now let's test it for size. We're going to put the back in. We are going to place this into the cubby hole and make sure that it slides in and fits. It does. That'll be the location for the battery pack, which will slide right in there. So I'll take that back out and peel 3 of the 4 sides. One of these will go down here and doesn't need to be peeled. I'm going to place that inside and glue the sides in place. The battery pack will get placed in here, like so. I've taped the cord to the backing here just so it doesn't get in the way. And then I'm going to take blue painter's tape, and I am going to tape the battery pack in place just so it doesn't flop around. I'm using blue painter's tape so it can be removed if I need to change batteries. The mat board backing should fit right inside the rim that came with the frame. That's so the back can fit on it. I've got everything in place now. I can, if I want, peel this last edge of my battery insert and stick that onto the frame right there. And then the backing that came with the frame can be put back in. And we get to look. Ah, yes, that looks terrific. Let's turn the light on and turn off the other lights. Won't that look stunning hanging on my wall? We are now done, and I hope you are pleased with the project. Check out my website at 3dcuts.com for a selection of other illuminated shadow boxes for you to complete. Happy crafting, everyone!